Hello and welcome to the BAM Cam podcast with your hosts, Jack Burnette and Alison Castellano. I'm Wendy McConnell. Well, hello to both of you.
Hi, Wendy.
Hey, Wendy. How's it going?
Oh, I'm good. How are you guys?
We are doing
really great.
really well.
Yeah.
It's the cold has eased a little bit.
It has.
So
Yes.
we've just here in Alabama, it's been bitterly cold for most of January.
And that's just about everywhere, but in Alabama, it's even worse, right?
We're not
that's true.
used to it. So
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Yeah,
I get it.
So we're gonna this week have a little bit milder weather, which is more typical of Alabama in January.
Yeah.
Kind of cool, dark, gray, dreary, damp.
It's great sleeping weather and napping weather, which I might try to take advantage of as I'm growing a human.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
you are more than welcome to do that, right?
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about the difference between financial literacy and financial wellness. You've probably heard these terms tossed around a little bit, but not really understood the difference in them. And there is a really big difference between the two. And we're going to talk about how they play a role in creating a less stressful, more secure life.
Well, being financially literate is important. I think it's
Yeah.
probably important as a step toward financial wellness.
Yeah, I would say it's the first stepping stone.
Right. But knowledge, which is what financial literacy is just knowledge, is just not enough. It is. There's a lot of folks that have a great deal of financial knowledge. They know things, they know information, they know perhaps what they should do, but they're still not sleeping well at night.
Yeah.
And often because just having the knowledge is not enough. You have to take some action steps. If you're and even that's not a guarantee of financial wellness, or at least having peace and happiness and being able to do that. For our regular listeners, they hear this often. What we desire for you is to have peace and happiness in your life, and financial wellness, which obviously we named our firm Eater Financial Wellness. Financial wellness is a component of that towards achieving peace and happiness, but we also advocate for wellness on multiple dimensions: physical wellness, spiritual wellness, et cetera, in order to have the greatest peace and happiness. And that won't mean that you will be stress-free even then, because life comes at us hard sometimes and throws us curveballs, and we can still stress and worry about things. But it's when you have your ducks in a row, and on financial front as well as the other fronts, it helps.
It does.
When those curveballs come along.
It does.
So, when we're talking about financial literacy, let's talk a little bit about that, Allison. What are things that, that's kind of the what and how of
So like you said, financial literacy is the knowledge and the skill that you need to manage your money. And it often could involve knowing how to create a budget and stick to it. That's the key there. You can create it all day long, but if you don't stick to it, it's not helpful. Understanding compound interest and how that can grow your savings, or navigating credit scores and knowing how they impact big purchases like cars and homes.
Understanding how healthcare works in your life, and understanding how to read and understand an explanation explanation of benefit statement and what that means, and understanding, your the difference between deductibles and coinsurance and all those types of things.
Yeah,
that's information that's helpful in order to have some financial literacy.
Yeah. But without financial literacy, you might struggle to make smart choices with your money. So that's why that knowledge is really very powerful. But like you said, the knowledge isn't enough. And that's where financial wellness comes in. Financial wellness is more that feeling of confidence, security, and control that you have over your financial future. It's what helps you sleep at night.
Right. Well, I kind of an analogy that you could have, or a metaphor, is planning a trip. So, we actually are going to be going on a trip next week.
Yeah.
And we have, we know that we have a flight to take on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, and that will get us there. But all the other little details of, once we get there, how we're going to get to the ultimate destination, the little details, it's having, we're going skiing. So having having lift tickets already purchased, having things of that nature. Those are some other details as part of the overall thing that gives you the confidence to know. And so we know what to expect. This is a place we've gone before, so we know what we can. So I have absolutely zero anxiety. Now, if I get hurt skiing, I've done that before.
You have.
That can throw a wrench in things and create some stress.
Yes. Hopefully that won't happen. Let's not speak that into existence.
Although I am familiar with the hospital in Park City.
Yeah. So let's not speak that into existence. That's not the vibe that we're going for.
No, we're wanting a ski wellness as well.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But the thing is, you have to have both and on all that. It's amazing how many people that, make really good money that may still experience a lot of financial stress.
I've told you before, I'm on the finance side of TikTok.
Right.
And now that TikTok's back, I feel like I can say that.
Okay.
But sometimes I get clips from the Dave Ramsey show when a caller calls in, and I heard someone the other day in a clip, and they said, we're just drowning in debt. We've got this mortgage that's expensive. We've got student loans that are expensive. We've got car loans that are expensive. And my wife and I it was like north of $300,000 combined. And one of the personalities on the Dave Ramsey show said, "You're the richest broke guy I've ever heard." But, that person's not alone. There's a lot of people that make good money that don't sleep well at night because they have a financial situation that's causing a lot of stress in their life.
Living beyond your means, regardless of what your means are, your means can be extremely high. But if you live beyond your means, it's going to cause problems and it's going to cause stress. And it's going to, there's a reason that a lot of professional athletes are broke just a few years after their playing career ends, and they're out of money, even though they've made in some cases millions or tens of millions of dollars. Same thing with big lottery winners. The incident of bankruptcy is about twice what the general population incident is.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, so it is kind of fascinating just having a lot of money or a lot of income for a period of time is no guarantee of security or success. And, the fact of the matter is, well over half of households in the United States are not equipped to be able to handle a $1,000 unexpected expenditure.
Yeah, and that's why we're big advocates of one way that you can act as a step towards financial wellness is establishing that cash emergency fund, that rainy day fund for when things pop up unexpectedly.
One thing that I'm proud of you and Adrian that y'all do is your money date series that you not only talk about it here on the BAM Cam podcast, but you live it in your life, and you are doing the money date and you're staying in track. And the benefit of that is that you and Adrian are on the same page.
Yeah.
And financial literacy and financial wellness in couples is not unilateral.
Yeah.
It's a bilateral endeavor, and it's important. And it doesn't mean that quite often you may have one spouse that is perhaps more financially literate than the other. Both don't have to be, completely or totally knowledgeable on every little thing. But in order to have financial wellness in a household, I think does take two.
I would agree with that.
And so I think it's important to be able to do that. So having, sometimes that means, and some spouses have very little interest in financial details and everything in the household. They're involved in one aspect of certain responsibilities in managing a household, and the other may have very little interest, but it's in that family's best interest. For both to be on the same page there, so that you can have some confidence there.
Yeah. So one of the things that to work towards financial wellness, couples or individuals, couples, if you are a couple, though, they need to assess their financial situation.
Right.
And so we've got kind of 5 questions that they can ask themselves, and they're all rating on a scale of 1 to 10, how you feel about your financial situation. So number 1, how satisfied are you with your overall financial situation? Just on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
How prepared do you feel for an unexpected major expense? We know that there's a lot of people unprepared for that.
Correct.
How confident are you that your family is financially secure if something happens to you?
In other words, if something
tragic
became
happened,
disabled,
yes,
or died, or something of that nature.
How confident that your children would be taken care of and financially secure.
Right.
How satisfied are you with the impact finances have on your relationships? Because sometimes finances can mean you can go out with your friends, enjoy a drink or two, have dinner with your girlfriends, whatever it is. If you feel like you don't have the freedom to do that and have other relationships, that might cause some financial stress.
Okay.
How confident are you in the progress toward your financial goals? And you have to set goals first in order to answer that question. A lot of people, they don't have their goals set. They don't really know what they're working towards.
Right. And I would argue that you have to have a certain amount of financial literacy to even tackle these goals.
Yeah.
Or these questions. And so you identify the areas that you may be not as satisfactory in your life, and develop a plan on how to address that.
Yeah.
I do like, for instance, going back to Dave Ramsey, for all of his listeners, he says, absolutely, first and foremost, if you don't have a $1,000 nest egg, that's got to be first and foremost, no matter what.
Yeah.
You got to have $1,000 sitting there that you can cover a $1,000 expenditure without losing sleep.
Yeah. And the data tells us that most Americans cannot do that.
About 60% that can't do it.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. So what that requires is a little bit of a game plan and a roadmap. And that's where a good financial advisor can help.
Yeah, always.
That's one of the things that we really advocate. And when we sit down with our clients or prospective clients, we always like to understand what are your goals and dreams? What are your fears? What are the things, we want to see the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And understand where you're trying to go and help you develop a game plan so that you can get some satisfaction and achieve some financial peace. And
sometimes that game plan, just having it is so liberating.
Correct. We've I think back to a client that was saddled with some credit card debt, and she really didn't know the right way to try to tackle it. It was on multiple cards and different things, and she wanted to do that. And we just outlined a debt snowball strategy, which made sense to her and gave her a pathway. And that in and of itself was very freeing and liberating to her, so that she knew how long it would take, but she had a path and she had a strategy, and that just gave her peace of mind, even though she was not out of the woods.
Yeah.
Just knowing that there was a game plan in place and something that she could execute was, just gave her an ability to sleep better at night.
Yeah. And it was, Adrian and I kind of did something similar early in our relationship while we were engaged. Sure, we worked on paying off student loans and car loans so that we could start our marriage debt free. And
you accomplished that.
We accomplished that. And that, but having a game plan set in place to help us do that and help us achieve that goal was really, really helpful.
It really was. It was. So I think that, to kind of summarize, just being knowledgeable is not enough.
Yeah.
You have to take action and have a game plan. Often a financial advisor can help you formulate that game plan. A lot of times people don't know where to start and how to begin, and that's where we can come in and help with our financial planning software and just our knowledge and expertise, and not necessarily our experience in being able to, bring that to the table and help you achieve the goals you want that are unique for you and your household.
And I want to point out that, financial stress doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter how much income you earn. It doesn't matter how little income you earn. Like 4 in 5 Americans feel financial stress at some point. And, that's a lot of people. And so,
you're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone if this is you. And, sometimes in my household, we feel financial stress.
Sure.
We're younger than you. We don't have as much experience as you. And we haven't accumulated as much investable mass.
Well, and I will tell you, your mom and I are pursuing a project right now that's kind of going to be a great thing. But we're pursuing a project that is a construction project, and I will admit, it's been stressful at times. I stress out over some of that because there have been some unexpected hiccups and that sort of thing, and I don't handle that part very well. But when we get to the backside of this, and I can see it's going to be great. Yeah. But just because you have all your ducks in a row and you have a game plan and that sort of thing, there will be some times where the stress level does still rise. Yeah.
So our sample size is 2, and we both have had moments of financial stress. So,
well, I had a lot more financial stress when you and your brother were little, and your mom and I were just trying to keep our heads above water.
Yeah. Sometimes that's how it feels for us too.
Correct.
So maybe there's a path forward, but working with a financial advisor can help you get that game plan, help you work towards that financial wellness. And help you, just feel better about your money decisions. You don't have to make them alone.
So if you would like to find out a little bit more about financial wellness for you and how we could be of help to you, why don't you reach out to us at info@eaterfw.com. That's eaterfinancialwellness.com. And we would be happy to talk with you and see if we could be of help to you.
We sure would.
All right. Well, thanks to both of you. And thank you for listening today. Please like, share, and follow this podcast with all of your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the BAMCAM podcast with Jack Burnette and Alison Castellano from Eater Financial Wellness, a financial advisory practice at RFG Advisory. To get in touch with us, visit today's show notes or go to our website at www.eaterfinancialwellness.com. That's ITERfinancialwellness.com. And please click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Information here may be provided in part by third-party sources. These sources are generally deemed to be reliable. However, neither our guest nor RFG Advisory guarantee the accuracy of third-party sources. The views expressed here are those of our guest. They do not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, its employees, or its clients. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by RFG Advisory or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, LLC. RFG Advisory, or RFG, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place. RFG Advisory is an SEC-registered investment advisor. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of RFG by the Commission, nor does it indicate that RFG or any associated investment advisory representative has attained a particular level of skill or ability.